Guys, it's Megatime once again. I'm here to bring you my review of Naruto 704, A Chance Meeting Part 2. And I have to say, I actually quite like this chapter. This chapter is actually pretty good. It starts off with Naruto confronting Shin Uchiha, of course. And, Naruto's just kind of like, sorry, I've got to speed this up. And Chocho is kind of like looking on in admiration. Like, the seventh came to rescue us, even for people like us. And that's an interesting sentiment, because, I didn't think the Hokage were necessarily, like, super distant from the regular ninjas. It doesn't surprise me that Naruto would go out of his way to protect them, because that's just what Naruto's like, and I think it's a bit interesting that Chocho doesn't really understand that. Anyway, Shin is, like, super raging out when he sees Naruto, and his Sharingan changes to the Mangekyo Sharingan, which obviously means that Shin has seen something really pretty disturbing. So that's interesting, and Naruto basically says, I guess I can't cut corners with this guy. And Shin summons this enormous, like, chain kunai above Naruto's head, and it looks really cool. And it breaks off into these darts that come flying towards Naruto. And basically Naruto's, his cape, his cloak, his coat is basically on fire with chakra, and then massive hands come out of it. And it's Kurama again, obviously doing his thing. And I love that. You get to see Kurama's mouth, you don't get to see any more than that. But, he's like, Naruto, you're going to fight again after all this time? And there's basically this cool double-page spread of Naruto's arms just holding the black darts. And he's like, just a little bit. And then he basically, he tries to attack Shin with the arms, but Shin dodges. And, Chocho is just kind of freaking out. But before the fight can continue, which is a little bit disappointing, Shin gets interrupted by one of his master's little weird things. That's like, fall back, Shin, you can't take him yourself now. And so Shin disappears with what I think is Kamui. The way it disappears into like its own little warp thing like that. That really reminds me of what Obito used, the Kamui thing. So it might be that, I don't really know. But anyway, yeah, Shin escapes, and Sarada basically prepares to keep going. We got some really kind of, if I'm honest, the Chocho filler is a bit annoying. She's going on about the same rubbish, like she just talks rubbish. But basically, Naruto correctly deduces that he wasn't targeting Chocho, he was targeting Sarada. And basically, Naruto gives her these kind of fatherly moments that she's never had with Sasuke. Naruto, he puts his hand on her head and he's like, don't worry, I'll protect you, it doesn't matter what happens. And he smiles at her, and that makes her happy. And basically Naruto says, you're safest with me. Even with shadow clones, I'm not letting you two go back to the village. So basically, Naruto wants to take Sarada to meet Sasuke. And Chocho's really freaking annoying, actually. Every time the plot threatens to move, Chocho tries to pull it back. And, basically Sarada reveals that she doesn't remember anything about her dad because Sasuke's been travelling the whole time. And they basically take a little moment to stop and eat the bento that Sarada brought, and Naruto gets this nice little flashback to the really, really early days of Naruto, when basically, that moment when he wasn't allowed to eat the bento because he cheated and they all let him have it anyway, and that was the point, the teamwork thing. So yeah, they all eat the bento, and basically Naruto explains what Sasuke's like to Sarada. This is a nice little moment where Naruto's like, he was super popular with the girls, just like I was, and, he was really good looking, just like I was, and Naruto's talking out of his arse, obviously. But, he then, he gets angry with him, but then he says, that they were rivals, and that's never changed. Of course, he decides to leave out the fact that Sasuke was a wanted fugitive for a very long time for murder and war and all this sort of crap, but that's probably for the best. But anyway, he almost calms her down a little bit, because he says, Sasuke doesn't wear glasses, but you look just like him, especially around the eyes. But the way you act is just all about Sakura. And that seems to be the first step to putting her fears about her potential mum to rest, at least, anyway. But, they make the move, and they try and find Sasuke, and they come across his tower, or at least where they expect him to be. And Sarada's like, I've got to go to the bathroom, which is obviously a load of rubbish, because she goes off to find Sasuke. She runs off to find him, and we actually get to see this, like, very brief flashback of what appears to be her with Sasuke. So she's obviously met him at one point. She lands at the tower, and then we get the end of the chapter, which basically ends with Sasuke confronting her. And now this is interesting. he confronts her, and she knows it's him. She's like, Dad, and then he says, you managed to find this place. And he draws a blade on her, and he says, are you one of that creep's friends? And that's the end of the chapter. I think that's a pretty nice end of the chapter, actually. I think that's quite an interesting way to finish off. I think there's two possible branches for this chapter's end. Sasuke either, one, is referring to Naruto, saying you're one of those creep's friends, you're one of that creep's friends, which I think would be an interesting twist, but I don't think that's going to be it. Or he's talking about possibly Shin or the person Shin works for, and he thinks that Shin could be working with Sarada. But either way, I think the biggest ramification of this is that he doesn't recognise his own daughter, which is really not going to go down well, especially since Sarada's already having daddy issues. It's really not going to go down well when she realises her own dad doesn't actually recognise her and actually mistakes her for the enemy. So when Naruto shows up, he's obviously like, Sasuke, what the hell are you doing? And then, you know, it'll be interesting to see how Sasuke reacts, because whether or not he reacts just like typical Sasuke or not, we'll have to find out. But that's it for this week's chapter of Naruto, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. I'm actually going to give this week an 8, because I thought it was pretty sweet. Again, the plot really doesn't want to move fast, but this week was better than the last 2 weeks, I thought, despite the lack of any kind of fight scene. So, yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below what you thought. As always, please subscribe to my videos. That'd be awesome. Did you like this week's chapter? What do you think about the kind of almost twist ending? And Sasuke's not going to look good when he comes out of this. But that's it, guys. Let me know what you thought. But until next time, guys, see ya.